All right, Will, you want to get started?
Yeah, it sounds great, Nick.
All righty. Well, again, welcome everyone that just joined to Sifted AI's Q3 live demo. I'm going to be one of your co-hosts today, Nick Giuliani, along with Will Green. So we are going to talk a little bit about why Sifted. Why do we exist? What do we help solve? Go through a couple of new products and features that we've rolled out recently. Then will jump into the actual platform and talk about some of those features, some coming soon, some really exciting things that we're going to be launching in Q4. And then if there's any Q&A, we'll be happy to address it from there. As I said before, Nick Giuliani, one of your co-hosts. I'm the Director of Business Development and Partnerships here at Sifted.
Yeah, and hey everyone, my name is Will Green. I head up the solutions engineering team here at Sifted. Really looking forward to the presentation today.
Yeah. And thank you all for the for coming today. So I think I love that we start with why. The amount of changes that have happened just in my time here at Sifted in the last couple of months in my previous tenure. I mean, the amount of surcharge ads and the changes that happen. I mean, the amount of things that we hear from our customers on a daily basis that is changing in their business just by the carriers is why Sifted existed. We want to ultimately give our clients the opportunity to understand what is happening at an operational level and how everything that is affecting them in the world is overall affecting that cost. I mean, we're not even getting geared up and talking about it yet, but peak season is coming, GRI season is coming. And so we really want to give our clients that true visibility into their overall parcel operations and how these different changes and economic things are ultimately, going to affect them today and in the long term.
Yeah, and just to add to that, there's been so much change this year in particular with, ongoing changes with, USPS, new surcharges coming out, UPS and FedEx changing how they work with, existing surcharges like additional handling, everything else. So, like Nick said, we're really hoping to deliver a tool for shippers to really make sense of all of that.
Yeah. I think what's really great about our overall platform and what we pick out to our clientele is that it can help so many different departments. Whether it's the finance team who, I've heard so many stories lately of, well, we had this charge and then all of a sudden we were actually billed this and that affected. And I have no way of digging in and understanding how what I charge my client is now actually being charged by the customer and how that's affecting my, profits, or the operations team to really dig in and understand, like, how do I get out ahead of potential issues, or how can I actually dig in and understand, like, once a package left my warehouse, like, what is actually happening and what are some adjustments I can make on the front end, being able to deal with next day air and 2 day air and service types, and also being able to execute from the executive level and them understanding what's happening inside these departments, because a lot of our clientele, I mean, they're living in, that overall parcel spend falls in their top five and top seven, top 10 on the P&L sheet. And so we have so many different departments that get affected by what happens within FedEx and UPS, USPS, Amazon, etc. Being able to really, really hone in and provide that insight and visibility has been a game changer for our clients. And we hear it almost every day that without the information that we were providing, they would have no way to have any understanding on what's going on inside their operations.
Yeah, as times change and advance, there's definitely a growing, recognition across like, different businesses that parcel is such an important thing to pay attention to. And, there's not a lot of tools and resources out there. It can be extremely complicated, especially when you pair that with, your own business and your own operations.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting piece because we have so many different people that we talk to that it's not just about, like, product goes in package, product goes out the door, and that's it. We are starting to see so many executive teams and leadership teams that are really starting to try to understand, like, what is happening inside my overall operations? Like, what are my actual costs? Well, how are all these extra charges affecting my margins? I mean, we have countless clients who put their overall pricing right on their website. So as a consumer, if I buy from them, I expect to pay that shipping amount. And so I think we're going to dig into this even more into the platform, but some really new things that we're excited about. When we think about our platform, there's really two different pieces of it. Like it is a tool for our clientele to be able to log into and dig in and understand, but we also want the system to work on behalf of our clients. And those are some of the really exciting new enhancements we're going to have. So the first is actually our custom alerts. So we'll actually dive into that here in a little bit, but you can set alerts on any piece of data point to understand if it's gone above or below a benchmark that you have. We're also utilizing another new feature is our AI Insight Summary. And so Will's actually going to walk through how the platform is continually looking at all of the different things that are happening and making those suggestions for potential operational changes or other cost saving areas. So, Will, I will let you jump in and walk through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Nick. So I'm going to switch over to the platform now. So what you're seeing on my screen is the home page of the Sifted AI platform. And some of you may be familiar with this, but this is basically, your landing spot where you can get a sense of the overall health and status of your parcel network. We have our proprietary Sifted score here, which is basically just giving a that health report for how you're doing in 6 different key areas that we've identified. As well as on this page, we have several, important KPIs like how is your spend trending, what's your volume look like, what's transit time look like, and then some settings down here where you can configure some other KPIs as well. But what I really want to dive into, off the bat is kind of more the focus on, not what the platform just shows you, but what the platform can do for you. So starting off here with these recommendations, this isn't a new feature. We'll get to those in just a moment, but it is a core feature of the platform, and we have fleshed it out a bit more over the past several months. So what this tool does is it's essentially a kind of your own parcel analyst that's combing through your data on a nightly basis to look at any impactful trends that the system has been programmed to identify on your behalf that can cause like operational inefficiencies and mainly operational cost increases. Am I putting unauthorized oversized packages, so things that weigh over 150 pounds or extremely big and bulky that the carrier doesn't want in their network, and they're charging me, extremely high fees for? Am I getting hit with address corrections? Not just that costly surcharge, but is it being hit the same time to the same address over and over again that can indicate an issue in my system that needs to be updated? So we've had these for the past, 9 months or so, but we have been increasing the capabilities of this as well. So now we can help users, for instance, see if they're getting a residential fee on a commercial service. So essentially what this is showing, if I'm using the wrong ground service, like in the case of FedEx, they both have FedEx Ground and FedEx Home Delivery. If I'm selecting home delivery and sending that to a commercial service, I'm sorry, a commercial location, then I'm still paying that residential charge on top of it. So the system can help identify something like this. This is an issue that I can make a change in on the front end to save on those costly residential charges just by selecting the correct service. And what's really great about this too is that not only will it showcase where it's happening and when it's happening, and I can dive into the details and, identify if the issue has been mitigated or if it's not something that's applicable to me. It will also send me an alert however I choose to engage with it. So I can come up to this notification bell and hit my settings here, and then I can choose to opt into any of these alerts that Sifted has set up. So when a recommendation does get triggered, it won't just be something I have to log into the platform and check. It'll go straight to my inbox, and I can know that the system is working for me in the background. It's not another tool that I just have to log into on a daily basis to check what's going on.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting, well, as you talked about the recommendations, the countless examples that we have from clients and prospects that we're speaking with that just had no idea that these things were happening. I mean, late payments that they weren't aware that weren't matching their contract or the amount of address corrections they were getting hit with. And now that they have this visibility, it's something they can eliminate and something they can actually take actionable insight on, which we've gotten a ton of feedback from people that it has saved them so much time and headache when it comes to actually being able to gain that visibility.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on top of that, it's not only do they not know some of these things are going on because they don't have, visibility like you just said, some of these things aren't inherently obvious with, how parcel shipping works. And, people wear a lot of hats these days. We've seen, people who manage Parcel have a lot of other responsibilities as well. And so it can be extremely challenging and really tedious to monitor all this stuff. So we really wanted to create a system that makes it you don't have to be a parcel expert or an ex UPS or FedEx employee to know what's going on and know what to look out for. We want the system to not just be a tool for you, but a tool to help educate you as well. And that kind of brings me into the next thing that I wanted to show here today is these custom alerts. So these recommendations, we have over a dozen of those programmed. These are all things that the system knows to look for. It can find this area, it can recommend a solution for you, it can quantify the problem, but it is a more generic approach. We have a lot of other users and shippers who really want to be able to dive into setting up alerts specific to their own business and their own, shipping policies and everything else that they're looking for. So that's where the custom alerts page here comes in. So I'm going to go up here to my delivery preferences. I'm sorry, to create custom alert above my delivery preferences and to build a new custom alert. And what this allows me to do is set up my own rules and my own logic. So whenever a shipment or invoice triggers these rules, I will get a notification about it. And it can really be almost any type of alert that I'd want to set up here. We have really robust logic that we can account for. So what makes it really cool, though, is the new ability here with this AI-powered alert creation, where you don't actually have to know how to build out all the logic that you may want to account for. I can actually come in this box and type in a scenario like I want the system to let me know whenever a package gets an additional handling surcharge. And so this is something that we don't have a recommendation for today because it's a very common surcharge. A lot of the times there's not much that can be done to mitigate it. But if you have a specific incentive or initiative that you're going on at your organization to cut down on this charge, perhaps you want to have your own alert set to it. So I'm going to go ahead here and hit generate with AI. And what the system's going to start doing is actually filling out the page beneath me. So as I scroll down here, you'll see we have a lot of settings that can be configured. And it's already started getting to work for filling these out. So the alert details, this is where I can name my alert and set a description for it. So it's already got here and named it the additional handling surcharge alert. And it'll let me know whenever this happens. I can choose how I want to opt into the alert as well. So if I want to have that via in-app or via email, I'm going to select email here so it gets sent right to my inbox because I don't want to have to log into the platform to check this manually. And any other Sifted users who you may want to have visibility to this alert, you can actually select and add them here as well under the select recipients. Also, if this is something that maybe you're only paying attention to this during peak season, for instance, because that's when additional handling surcharges are really, they're really expensive because you're getting hit with that peaking factor as well. So I might want to only have this go for the next, 3.5 months or so to just that window of peak and let me know once a week, again, because that's gonna be the cadence that I'm invoiced at. And then down here, we can see the alert conditions where you can set this up. The system, because of I entered in the AI text box, it's already built my rule for me. It's going to tell me whenever I get a charge type that equals that additional handling surcharge, I'm going to get that alert. But if I wanted to come in here and build out my own rules, I could definitely do that as well. I can add rules to it. I can add more groupings as well. The logic can get pretty complex, or it can be very simple. So we have all these fields that we can work with to set our rules off of and different criteria for the logic we can use as well. Again, that's what makes it extremely flexible. So if maybe I'm only looking for specific account numbers that I'm trying to mitigate this additional handling surcharge in, I can add that logic as well. And if I'm looking to really get into the weeds with it, we do have our dataset dictionary over here that will show you which fields are available, as well as some examples of values that are in each of these fields. So you can really, self-service as well. But I'm going to just take this out, keep it simple for now. It'll tell me the status of my alert. I can test it out to make sure it'll work, and it'll tell me how many matches it's found in the last 90 days. And that way I can verify the logic that I've set up is working as expected. So if I'm expecting to have seen 176 additional handling charges, this looks right to me, so I can go ahead and create this alert. And I'll just add to this that this has been a really big win for, Sifted users because they've used this tool to really catch, a number of things that they were previously having to dig through spreadsheets on. I worked with one shipper who was literally downloading UPS billing files on a weekly basis and having to build out pivot tables and spending about 2 hours a week to comb through their billing to look for specific surcharges like additional handling that they're working to either mitigate or get credits back from the carrier. And with just setting up 2 or 3 alerts inside the system, they were able to get back all of that time. And so that was a huge win from them from just like a productivity standpoint.
Yeah, I think we also think about it too of like big key like business KPIs. Like what are the 3 or 4 things that if you're not tracking them could cause your business to be out of whack, like your cost per package or your DIM or average zone. Like we can set those as well that if anything exceeds the total that you're looking for, if it goes above $12 a package, you're getting alerted immediately. So you can get out ahead of that issue instead of it happening over and over and over and over again, and then it really turning into a very large problem.
Yeah, 100%. And another great thing about the platform as well is after it's, alerted to me what's going on here and giving me that, report of all the packages that are incurring the problem, if I really want to get into the weeds on what's going on here, I can always come into the platform and check out my spend summary page. So kind of like Nick was saying, like this is where we can really break out all of these KPIs that can be really important to a shipper. So I can see, how my spend is trending over time. I've got really great and robust filters and saved view technology up at the top here. So if I want to dig into just maybe I just want to see the last 90 days or year to date, for instance, I can quickly set up a filter that'll carry with me as I navigate throughout the platform. And so things like, accessorial surcharges, we're showing you, how you can build out notifications there. But I can quickly scroll down here and I can also see, are there any surcharges coming through that maybe I didn't think to look out for initially? Like I can see obviously additional handling, that's my biggest charge right here. But did I realize that I was getting so many service charges or so many large package surcharges, for instance? And this can just be a great tool to visualize that. And not to mention just digging into what's going on with my average cost per package over time or anything like that. Because, for instance, here it looks like things have been, pretty static, but it looks like I've got a pretty big bump here in early September. And so I can see there, okay, now I need to dive into what's going on. Now I know that it's only the first week of September, so it doesn't take a lot of data to throw things out of whack for that, but still having access to that, data, it makes things just really, really efficient for me. But getting on to something that's, I think, really top of mind for shippers right now, and that is the ongoing peak and demand surcharges that FedEx and most recently UPS now has also released. And these are, these can be relatively complicated for shippers to navigate. They are not inexpensive charges, especially if you are, an organization that tends to have, really high peaks during that traditional, winter holiday season. You can, it can be really expensive. This can be a really big hit to your budget, not to mention the like the tier setup that they use for these demand charges can make it really challenging to forecast costs. And so one really great thing about our platform is that when these carriers announce these changes, whether it's demand charges later on the year when they announce GRI will be another instance, we will actually build out these dashboards for all Sifted users, and it will forecast the cost of each of these charges. And so I can, quickly see, what's driving, my peak season costs. I've got a combination here of that residential base demand surcharge and the additional handling demand surcharge. And that's going to be, an expected $350,000 to my bottom line. And then I can dive deeper into the details here as well to click into it. And this is where we can really tailor it to my organization because these dashboards are, one, they're looking at these peaking factors over here to the right. So we'll break this down for you so you can see, how UPS and FedEx are calculating these costs. But again, it's not very straightforward. And if my volume is expected to change, I can actually come in here and say, hey, I'm expecting a maybe 95% having a huge impact to my volume this year and seeing what that's going to do to my costs. It'll recalculate everything and showcase my new demand surcharges. I can also factor in any specific discounts that I've negotiated with the carriers as well to make this report completely tailored to me, and it'll readjust and recalculate everything as I type in my specific discounts, my specific volume projections, and now I've got a great tool that will showcase what that's going to do to my year over year cost with these charges so I can budget appropriately. And this is where I really want to showcase another new, really cool feature that Sifted has, again, in that vein of, leveraging AI just to make things more efficient, make my job a little bit easier. And that's this AI Insights. When I come down here and hit explain this chart on my projected residential delivery and demand charges by week, it'll actually build out a text-based explanation that goes through the data, it goes through the visualization, it'll look for, key insights, anything like along the lines of a trend or anything to call out to bring my attention to it. Because this is an example of, again, a complicated charge that can be hard to interpret. So we don't want someone who's not a parcel expert who to have to comb through all of these service guides and documentations from carriers. This can really showcase, hey, not only what is my spend, but like what's driving this. I can quickly read through an executive summary that walks through, how long these demand surcharges last and what time of year, specifically the week of November 24th for me, is this is going to peak and really impact my costs. And then it's going to let me know that it's going to drop off, pretty heavily in early January. It'll showcase my peak week. I can see, what my highest contributor here is being that ground-based demand charge and, just really breaking this down in a lot of detail. And we have this functionality on every visualization that's inside of, these reports drop downs inside the shipping profile. So if you really need something to help you get into the weeds, to help you know what's going on behind the scenes with the data, this is, starting to turn into a almost like a parcel analyst that'll walk through all of this with you.
And I think, well, what you're talking about with these demand surcharges and GRIs, like it is on everybody's mind that we're talking to right now. There's not a single person that isn't worried or trying to understand like exactly how it's going to affect them. And to this point, they've really never had any ability to dive into it. They've just taken the carrier at their word. It's like, this is going to be this. And they've never been able to really dive in and like, how is this ultimately going to affect me and my business? And now they have that ability within the platform.
Yeah, 100%. I think like at the end of the day, it's just people having access to the tools and the information that they need to do their job and to manage their budget appropriately.
Yeah.
That's the goal of tools like this and to make that like an efficient process because I think we all know people, we've all done this ourselves. I talk to a lot of people and I've been there that do these type of analyses inside of Excel. And it can be very time consuming. A lot of times you have to make generalizations and assumptions and things like that. And then at the end of the day, when you look back on what you projected versus what actually happened, things are all out of whack. So at least here, this gives you an efficient system to rely on and that can showcase, hey, like this is like what's, we're expecting to happen here. I don't have to spend hours and hours over the course of a few weeks making a big project to do, do a projection like this.
Think you made a good point earlier. Like this kind of helps you become the expert in what's happening. Like the amount of people we talk to that they don't have a designated parcel analyst or someone digging into the data every second of the day. This allows every level of the company to understand what is happening, how it's going to affect them, and what they can do to mitigate or make those adjustments to get out in front of these changes.
Yeah, 100%. And even organizations that do have, dedicated analysts or people who are specialized in, data with supply chain, they're typically tasked with a lot of projects that can, range from relatively simple to extremely complex. And so anything that can be done to make their work more efficient too and give them, give them tools that they can turn over to their team and to their executives in an extremely quick manner can allow them to really focus on the more complicated, aspects of their job. And so it's, again, we're not taking away, any, people's responsibilities here. It's about making people work more efficiently.
100%.
And so I want to take a step back out of the platform now, get back to our deck because we do have another announcement for one new feature that we are going to be rolling out later this year. And that is the Sifted AI Copilot. So this is not going to be just another chatbot, but a true agentic AI. You're, as a user, going to be able to come into the platform, ask it a question, and it will go behind the scenes and it'll do the research on your behalf. So it's essentially going to be your own personal parcel analyst that will be able to securely interact with your data. And it's going to be extremely knowledgeable about what's going on inside of your parcel supply chain and also the parcel space in general. It's going to be able to accurately identify root cause questions. So it's not just like, tell me what my additional handling charge was last month. It can actually, you can absolutely do that, but it's going to be able to answer more complicated questions like why did my cost per package increase in Q4? It's going to have, full ability to go in, query your data inside the Sifted ecosystem, analyze the results, read any stored carrier documentation, as well as access publicly available, parcel information as far like things like carrier announcements, changes like that, and then go back comprehensively analyze all this and then come back to you and tell a story with data and data visualizations to help you make sense of any issue that you're looking to understand. And so, like for instance, here you want to dig into what's causing a cost increase, and the system's going to be able to identify it's because you've moved to an express service over ground. And if you want to be able to get back to utilizing more ground services and kind of estimate what a cost savings there could be, that's another example of what type of questions it'll be able to help users answer as you walk through it. So we're really excited about this tool because again, it's going to bring access to this type of information to a much wider audience. And you're not going to have to be like spending hours in the data, pulling stuff out, running custom reports to figure this information out. You're going to have a true tool that can help you work through all of that.